So we are here at the beautiful Japan House in Kensington. Now Lloyd has kindly been able to organise like a private tour of the Carpenters Line. Now this is an exhibition all about Japanese carpentry, about timber and all things beautiful. And we've got Siobhan here and we've got Julia, and they're kind enough to take us around. So this is an absolute privilege for an everyday carpenter like me. And the object is we're going to capture as many things that are interesting to us and to you. And hopefully you can also come and see these exhibitions for yourselves. Morning, girls.
Morning. Welcome to Japan House London.
Thank you so much. So tell me all about it.
Yeah, so this is the Carpenters Line exhibition. It started from the 29th of September and it'll be on until the 29th of January. And it's about 1,300 years of historical woodworking in Hida Takayama. Yeah, Hida Takayama has a very long history of woodworking. The town itself kind of maintains the Edo period architecture. Edo period was around the 1600s, 1800s. And it retains all of the kind of classic wooden architecture of that time as well. It's really lovely to see.
Wow.
Yeah, so the exhibition is called the Carpenters Line, and this is the Carpenters Line here.
This is the tool.
Yeah, it's the tool. Can you guys guess how it works?
Well, I mean, it looks like it's got some sort of ink in it.
It does, yeah, absolutely.
Pin at one end, is there a string involved?
Yes, there is.
Pin at the other end, it looks
Yeah.
like those Japanese lines.
So you're pulling the line through the ink, and then you're going to ping. So it's a similar thing to what we're using now with chalk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly the same as that. These tools are used throughout Japan, but specifically in Hida Takayama, it's less ornate. It's quite simple, and it could be more ornate in other parts of Japan.
So Hida, if I'm correct, is an area, a particular area of Japan.
Yes, it is in central Japan.
Right.
It's in the prefecture Gifu. And then it's kind of like in the county of Hida, and then in the city of Takayama specifically is what the exhibition is about.
Okay, that's where we need to head then.
Yeah, the thing that I find so striking about this is we still use it today, and it's like 1,000 years later, and we've all got one on site, we're built with chalk, so it's like crazy that it's still relevant after that time.
And the simplicity of it, it's a piece of string.
Absolutely, all the lasers, you can have all the lasers in the world, but you've still got to go over it with a pencil, whereas this is one, it's brilliant. Okay, fantastic, so that's a really nice lead in. And we're heading downstairs now to where the exhibition is actually on show. In this glass lift, it's a little bit like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
So welcome to the Carpenters Line. It's about Hida Takayama, a city in central Japan, in Gifu Prefecture. And 92% of Hida Takayama is forested. And this exhibition will make you feel like you're in the forest. And so you can see kind of like these curtains. It's kind of got like an immersive feeling. Another meaning for Hida in Japanese is folds of a curtain. So it's kind of like a play on words. If you'd like to follow me.
Wow. It's beautiful. It's so serene and calming. And
yeah, absolutely. The first thing you see is 90 different types of wood tree species that are found in Hida Takayama. Actually, there are 350 tree varieties in Hida Takayama, but we're showcasing 90 here.
wow.
If you have the booklet, you can kind of look at the numbers and see the names of the trees in Japanese, English, and Latin as well. Which
And with regards to the tree types, I mean, I have no idea how many different species there are in the UK. I would think it's nowhere near that many. How many are deciduous and how many are evergreen in Japan, roughly speaking? 60% and 40%.
Oh, wow.
So broadleaf, 60%. So that's like lots of hardwoods, that sort of stuff. And wow. I mean, a lot of this timber, it all looks so similar. You've got to be such an expert, haven't you, to actually be able to read the forest. Can you imagine being able to read the forest? Now, that would be something I'd love to do, is go in the forest with someone who knows every tree. And that's this is good for that. And wow.
Would you gentlemen like some exhibition booklets?
Thank you so much.
So do you know anything about magnolia wood?
I don't.
I have magnolia at home, but I wouldn't. It's not big enough to make anything out of. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's a broadleaf tree, and it has antibacterial properties, so it's often used for food. So kind of like how you would use a banana leaf to wrap food. Magnolia leaves are used to wrap miso,
All right.
or it's also used to cook with, and it's like a good, like a sustainable way to wrap food and have like a specific kind of.
So in its actual chemical makeup,
Yes.
it's naturally
Antibacterial.
wow.
Yes. Yeah,
And
so,
it remains like that through its life, does it? As you wash it and use it again.
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
So this ladle was carved, and in order to kind of stay homage to its like leaves, the carvings are also reminiscent of the leaf itself.
It's beautiful. That looks like a nice bit of timber to work with, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
The first mention of Hida no Takumi, or the master carpenters of Hida, was about 1,300 years ago, when the government imposed a tax on Japan, but Hida was exempt if, in return, the carpenters would help the government build shrines, temples in the capitals. So the Hida carpenters did that, and they worked for more than 330 days a year, and as their recognition, they were coined Hida no Takumi, or master carpenters of Hida. So
Wow.
they made temples such as Yakushiji and Todaiji and Heijo Palace, and over a span of 500 years, more than 40,000 carpenters participated in the construction of these important buildings.
Wow,
So good.
it's unbelievable.
Well, that isn't the oldest wooden building in the world in
Yeah.
Ikaruga, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Very well informed.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from, but I did.
So we can look at the tools.
So yeah, some of these tools are just incredible. I used to be a chef, so I have lots of knives, and all my knives are Japanese. So now I'm going on, and I have a few chisels which are Japanese, and the craftsmanship and the chisels is absolutely unbelievable. And they're obviously very expensive, but you have to be correct me if I'm wrong, you have to be a master at making just even the handle before you can get on with anything. A lot of Japanese craft, like the sushi, you don't do any cutting fish until you can cook rice, and you spend years and years just learning how to cook rice for sushi, if that's right. So yeah, the tools are, from what I know, are like top notch. Like the steel, I've got a few blue steel, which is like quite hard to maintain an edge on, but when they are sharp, they're really, really sharp. And this one here, there's a technique I've seen in Japan where they stand on the log and they use a chisel like this and they swing it, and you make indents in the wood, and it creates a pattern. What would they use this one for?
I believe that is an axe.
An axe
actually,
more than a chisel. Yeah, okay.
I believe it uses kind of like that for down momentum.
Yeah, and the planes are absolutely beautiful. And the shavings they get off these planes when they're sharp is literally like not even a millimetre, it seems like. It's unbelievable. You can see right through it.
Yeah, it truly is a testament to how much the carpenters take care of the tools. Like you mentioned, they're very high quality, because a lot of the training is sharpening the tools.
Yeah.
I think the carpenters spend most of the time in the morning sharpening and preparing the tools before even getting down to the woodwork. Can you guys guess what this one is?
I was going to say, what is that? I don't know what it is, but I really want one. And I don't know what I'd use it for, but I still really want one.
It's not a toothpick, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is a spear plane. So this plane predates the block planes down here. And it's used in the same way. It's used to shave off a very thin layer of wood at the top, so little twills of wood kind of come off. You'd hold it in an angle and you'd hold it down to the wood and you'd shave it.
It looks so sharp.
That looks like a lot of
is
skill to learn
incredibly
how to
sharp,
use
yeah.
that. Is it flat on the back, as in not beveled? Yeah.
It's curving.
Oh, it's convex in the back.
But it's flat but curving.
Yeah.
But we had a carpenter come and actually do a demonstration of the tool
Oh, really?
the other week. Yeah. Wow. It's incredibly sharp.
What's the name of the tool, sorry?
It's a spear plane.
Spear plane.
It's funny because when you said originally what do you think this looks like? From where I was standing, if you look at the Zulus and you look at the spears the Zulu warriors had, they're not dissimilar with this point on the top. And I was thinking that it looks something more like a spear. And when you said it was a spear, I was like, oh, actually.
Nice.
I was watching something about how the joiners and the carpenters will make all of their own planes.
Yeah.
They'll make all of their own toolkit. And I know that we used to do that in the UK before we could go and buy mass-produced tools like planes and that sort of stuff. We used to do it as well. It's just a shame that we don't get the time to sit and make a plane anymore.
And I'm sure you guys know that these planes work on the pull rather than
Yeah,
the push.
it's really interesting. Yeah.
And similar with the saw as well.
Yeah, the pull saws. So yeah, they have different teeth for different sizes. So there's a rip and a cross cut as well, don't they?
What can you tell us about the square? Because I've seen a lot about that online. The sashi, is it sashigane?
The only thing I can tell you about the square is that it's actually incorporated into the writing for.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah,
so
so,
you know, Japanese kanji, you can see them all around here, the writing system.
Yeah.
So the square, that is the tool, is actually incorporated into the kanji you can see here. And is that the kanji for takumi?
Yes, it is.
Takumi. So that kanji is kind of like craftsmanship, and it's actually got the square into it. So it's like the writing, you know, it's the actual tools are incorporated into the writing, which I find really interesting.
Amazing.
Mortise chisel here. It looks like one. The second one.
And this lovely little mallet.
You want to find out about some joinery? You want to have a go at, so we've got a bit of a challenge for you actually.
Brilliant.
So I guess here we can start the joins and then we'll see if you guys can succeed at the Chidori Goshi challenge.
Excellent.
Over here. Not many people succeed first time. But anyway, I'll let Siobhan explain to you about the joints first.
Yeah, so this is the joint area. Here we have the straight joints, and behind you we have the angled joints. The straight joints, feel free to interact with.
This one looks really a bit familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, now this is a scarf joint as we know it. The only difference is they've got a tongue here.
And on the top as well.
Yeah, so that's going to stop any rotation, which is absolutely beautiful. I would probably want to use that if it was an upright post.
Yeah.
Because any racking would be stopped by that. So yes, carry on. I'm going ahead of myself.
Go for
So
it.
what have we got first?
Juji Michigaire. Yeah. Would you like to?
Yeah, sure. There you go. Wow. It almost looks like a kid's toy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a castle joint almost, the ones I've seen before.
Yeah, that's amazing. Pop it together, Lloyd. I mean, it's a thing of beauty, that's for sure.
It's called Juji because the Japanese number for 10 is a cross. So it looks just like the Japanese number for 10.
And do you know why you would use each one individually, like the applications for each joint, or?
I don't know specifically, but I know that they would use like a mixture of these joints in a building to kind of give it like different strengths and a bit more flexibility, as you know, because Japan's quite prone to
Earthquakes.
to earthquakes.
Tectonic movement,
So it
yeah.
adds kind of flexibility.
So these are like dovetail. These ones you have to go in at an angle to get that.
Look
Wow,
at that.
that's
Yeah,
incredible.
that's really nice.
A lot of joinery in Japan doesn't have nails, doesn't have glue, doesn't have fixing. There's lots of earthquakes in Japan. And if you don't have fixings or glue or metal, if you just have the wooden joints, then when the earth shakes, the wood can bend as one. So we do have joints without glue and fixings in the UK, but
Well,
particularly in
Very
Japan.
few.
You know, framing we do, but we do it completely differently.
Yeah.
We use a peg and we
Yeah.
use a mortise and tenon mainly. But a lot of structural engineers have always looked back at the way the Japanese have built amazing timber structures that have survived the tests of time, even through earthquakes. And it is down to the way you've constructed and allowing the building to move and go back to where it should be. And even now, skyscrapers are built on a similar technology, except they use huge rubber buffers to connect stanchions to bases and that sort of stuff as well. So it is amazing how this ancient art and technology, and you think, going back, how many buildings they must have built and that had fallen over to learn.
And also a lot of them, there's not really any flat surfaces around, so nothing's getting had water sitting on and getting rotten that way. Everything's got a curve to it, and all the water seems to drop off everything. So that's another point of why it seems to last so long.
This is Chidori Goshi, it's lattice work.
Yep.
It is possible for you to take it apart and put it back together again.
Ed is highly competitive, so he would like to have a
You
go.
know, do you know what this is, Ed?
No, I do not know.
I would say only about 5-10% of people.
See, the key is
visit
put it back
manage
together again. I could take it apart, no problem.
I mean, could you take it apart?
Well,
No problem. You
I
wanna
could take it
try?
apart, no problem, but not put it back together again is what I meant.
Well, let's
Can
find
I take
out.
this
Are you
apart?
in the top 5% of visitors? I would say that's about right.
So it's a lot of
5%
half lap
about
joints.
Really?
They all seem to be the same
right.
cuts
Oh,
in
he
them.
knows. He knows.
I know, but I think even though I've been told how to do it, I still failed. Yeah.
There's a...
Let's think about it.
Have you guys done it?
Yeah, but it took me a while to learn.
Really?
Yeah.
You almost
So
need to
these
twist
look
and
like
get one
just
end
like
out
children's
first.
Toys, are they?
They're children's toys now, but they're also ornamental. They were used within buildings and...
Yeah, it's a
That's a
decorative
brain-
element.
brain
So you
twist
saw
of
the
that one.
lattice work outside, upstairs, sorry. The chidori goshi is a decorative element, much like the kumiko lattice work. You can see it above doors as decoration and on-screen doors as well. And it's specific to Hide Takayama. But there's a big example of it above Jizo Hall in Japan. And unfortunately, all of the artisans had passed away and the art was lost for 200, 300 years. And it wasn't until somebody kind of cut it up and took it apart, then we knew how it was made, and now we can see it as an example.
Wow.
Crazy.
So the story goes that this was a bit of a secret until it was discovered. The original craftsman disappeared, and now you're still taking it apart 1,000 years later. Well, it's not coming, it's not happening, is it?
I've sussed it, mate. No,
Oh, you
no,
have,
no.
you have sussed it?
No.
Oh.
Lloyd, do you want to help him out?
Come on in, Lloyd. Lloyd's the
remember?
expert.
We'll be here all day if.
Start flat again. I want to see it flat again. There we go. Right, come on in, Lloyd. Let's see what you're made of.
No, I can't.
Yes, the middle one is the key, and you see there are 3 points of contact. You can relieve those by holding it like this, and that leaves the middle one to be free. You can slide it out.
Very good.
It's interesting to see how it works, though, if you'd like to see.
Right, Lloyd, you put it back together.
I couldn't do that.
Actually, I think the putting back together
Might be easier, eh?
Yeah, because you know you've got 3 one way and 2 the other, and then you've got 1 in the middle. So these have obviously go one way. The 3 go one way. Take him away for a minute. You don't need him for a minute.
Dunno.
How many times have you practiced that together?
Look at those 2.
lot.
Yeah, you're a lot faster than me.
Really?
Even though I know the rules, it just takes me a while. There's a video that will come up there.
Ah, I see.
And then you can do the slide. So you have to show them how it's done, you see.
This is good stuff.
Yeah?
Nice, Ed.
Ta-da!
Right, hang on. I'm going to show you how to take apart this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is an example of the 3x3.
And there's some more complex ones here. These are not for
Taking
for
apart.
because I think they wouldn't go back together again. But yeah, you can see how they can get more and more complex.
And that is incredible, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah. Robin hates wasting timber, so he's going to make us make these now with our
Nice.
offcuts of timber on site.
Talking about offcuts, over here would be a great use for offcuts. You see all the end grain of the
Yeah,
timber
nice.
beautifully put together into an art piece.
Yeah, so this is Japanese cedar. It's kind of used for construction, so a lot of plantations are planted.
Right.
But it's not really used for furniture making because it's too soft. And as you can see, the first large block, you can see there's loads of like dents, lots of scratches, and that's kind of a testament to how soft the wood is.
So usually we're not allowed to touch. But let me show you something. Compare the weight.
Wow. I mean, that is like as light as a feather, and that feels like sapele, you know, the density of sapele.
Hide Sangyo, the furniture making company, found a way to compress the wood.
it's literally
so this is compressed cedar wood,
Amazing.
made more kind of better structural integrity in order to make furniture.
That was that, and they've compressed it. So it was similar proportions, and they've actually managed to compress it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
so
incredible.
you can
Is
see
that
here,
just
it's like
compressing
30% compressed, 50%
That is
compressed, and
incredible.
this is the last stage.
That is incredible. Well, do they introduce steam? How do they compress it?
I
Almost looks like
believe
thermal wood.
it's a chemical bath and then it's compressed.
Wow.
But I think it's like a furniture company secret.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Let me show you something. Does anyone skateboard? You skateboard? Ed?
Not
You
for a
skateboard?
while.
I do.
You skateboard?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's nice.
Polishing
The
element.
lacquerware. Maybe you
Lacquer.
can explain the lacquerware a bit for us, Siobhan.
Yeah, sure. So the wood is lacquered with various oils and plant resin in order to showcase the beautiful grain and the natural color of the wood as well. This one's been lacquered with a slight red dye, and it creates this really nice sheen. And originally, this type of tableware and kind of like food keeping ware was a kind of really used for like royals or that kind of thing, people who are high up, but it became more common. And now it's used for like tea ceremonies, for example. This is a tea caddy, so green tea powder would be kept in here. And this spoon is also used for picking up the green tea as well. This is a clam-shaped tray.
What makes up the lacquer? I know this one's been dyed, but the basics of the lacquer is made of...
I believe it's like perilla oil.
So it's all natural things?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
right.
It's incredible that looks super... loads of chemicals and loads of products laced over it and blah, 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 but it's just natural oils. I know that one's got dye in it.
Well, if you can imagine, I mean, how far back does this go in terms of, 17th century, right, early 17th century, but there wasn't any chemicals then. You could only extract oils and, use what you could get from nature, I suppose,
I believe soy juice and perilla oil and urushi lacquer. Urushi lacquer comes from the lacquer tree.
All right.
Yeah.
And that's Japanese?
Yeah, I think
Oh, wow.
so. I believe
Does that
so.
grow next to the money tree, the lacquer tree?
Yeah. We all need a money tree, guys.
You know that yew grows incredibly slowly, and the grain is incredibly tight, and because of that, I feel like there's in multiple cultures there's quite a spiritual significance of yew. I know that it's grown quite a lot by churches in the UK.
Yeah, we have one in our village which is from 1100.
Wow.
And it is just amazing, this thing to look at.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, huge girth, mostly hollow inside where it's sort of rotted, but it's still growing.
Wow.
It's still growing. Beautiful.
Yeah, so in Hidetakeyama there is a mountain called Mount Kurai, and it's quite a spiritual mountain. There is a shrine called Hida Ichinomiya Minashi, and in this forest there's quite a lot of yew growing. And I don't know if you know what a shaku is, but it's like a ceremonial scepter used by priests and such. And this is actually an example of a shaku made of yew that was presented to the emperor during his enthronement. So there is multiple shaku made that are presented to the emperor, and the emperor can choose one. And this one didn't quite make the cut, but it is one of the ceremonial scepters as a kind of like a custom of respect to the emperor.
And this was just in 2019, because that's when the new emperor in Japan started his new era, because in Japan they name each era after the emperor. So in 2019 we started the Reiwa era, so this is a very recent part of imperial history.
Wow, amazing. I love all these traditions. They're great, aren't they?
And do they respect the yew tree quite a lot, so they wouldn't normally cut the yew tree and use it, or is it because it's grown they would only use it for special occasions like the scepter?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
And And what else would they make out of yew then?
Oh,
Other
yeah.
than scepters, would there be specific things, furniture that they would use for yew, or?
Yeah, if we go around the back here, you
Yeah.
see some more examples.
So another interesting fact that I learned, I just need you to confirm it. How much of Japan is covered in forest?
I believe it's 66%.
Wow, I mean that's incredible. 66%.
unbelievable.
See, I had no idea. You know, just have an imagination of Japan.
Yeah.
And when you say 66%
You
covered
often
in
see
forest,
clips of Tokyo and stuff, as that's
Yeah.
the only insight you get to Japan.
Yeah,
And
you
actually
don't realise how-
vast and beautiful and covered in trees it is.
And to think what you said, 92%. Like, where are the people living in Hida? It's 92%, right?
yeah. So whole of Hida is
92%.
92%.
92, you said?
Yeah, 90%.
Wow.
90%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that why it was so popular as a birthplace of this craft? Because the raw materials.
Yeah.
Did the population at the time decide to go there because that was the raw material that they were and could work with, as opposed to, you know, they hadn't started excavating yet for minerals or whatever? That was timber, so it was all about shelter, about, you know, evolution of man, and I mean, and that's going back, did you say 1,000 years or something like
Yeah,
that?
1,300
Wow.
years. So here we have the woven yew hat. I don't know if you know cicadas, you know, those big bugs with wings, and they go wah, wah, wah.
What, like an insect?
Japanese cricket.
Yeah, like a massive Japanese cricket that lives in the trees, and they're quite vocal in nighttime.
Yeah.
So you can imagine these look like the wings of the insect, and it's woven in this manner. And it's quite interesting, the characteristics of this hat, because it's used to, like, for the sun, and also to like stop the rain getting on your face as well, because as the water goes into the wood, it expands and it makes it even more waterproof.
Amazing.
It's incredible.
All of these,
makes sense
all
now,
of these
yeah.
things, you look at it, you just think it's an ornamental thing, you know, like a tradition. And when there's a reason for it, like the moisture.
symbolic, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, isn't
There's
it?
a fun thing if you guys ever go to Japan and go into the hot springs and you go outside and it's raining, you'll be given a hat that kind of looks a bit like that. So I've had an experience when I was in hot springs, it was pouring down, sitting wearing one of these hats, and it's all like steaming all around.
Amazing.
So you have that to look forward to when you guys make it to Japan.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I can see you in one of those, Ed.
Oh yeah.
So another thing made from yew is netsuke. So these are these small wooden carvings
The intricacy on this one is absolutely
Yeah.
incredible.
that are often used as a charm. So, you know, in the kind of period era of Japan, everyone wore kimono and had a large belt called
Right.
obi. And this large box here is kind of like a wallet.
Okay.
So the charm would be put on the other end, and this whole structure would be slipped into the belt.
Right.
And the charm would act as a counterweight, so it can be held hands-free.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, these are from about the 1800s, and I'm sure you know that the characteristic of yew is that when you carve it, it can be quite light. So this one was made in 2022, this daruma, and then this one was made in 1850. And as the wood ages, it becomes darker.
No,
and
I didn't
darker.
know that.
Yeah, so this is a climbing wall made from wood knots.
So it's actually a climbing wall.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah, it's designed to be a climbing wall, but
Wow.
you know, wood knots are generally for like furniture manufacture are thrown away
Yeah.
and discarded.
Do you know what? That has given me an amazing idea to do that at home.
So I think that's where this came from. Is like during the pandemic, the guys over in Hida, there was, you know, people were ordering less furniture, so there's a bit of wastage, right? And they didn't want to waste it, so they thought, what can we do with these cut-offs? And then they built a climbing wall.
Amazing.
So,
It's absolutely gorgeous as well.
And you know, climbing walls are generally color coded, so you can follow a specific route. But this is wood type coded. So if you can tell the differences, there is a walnut route, and there is also a cherry wood route.
Ah. Okay.
And quite a lot of these are made from different woods as well.
What's this one?
That is a Japanese horse chestnut.
Wow, it's beautiful, isn't it?
And also in the back of the booklet, it'll tell you all the different wood types of the
looks
each
like-
part as well.
It looks like one of Rebecca's rock cakes. Honestly, that's what they look like. Yeah, they look like that.
No context at all.
Yeah. I know, but if you'd have seen one of Rebecca's rock cakes, I'm telling you, they're like that. They're probably a lot harder than that, though.
Is Rebecca your manager?
No, she's my wife.
Oh, I see.
Maybe you can climb those.
Yeah. No, she doesn't watch anything I do on YouTube. She's fed up. She sees enough of me without watching me on YouTube as well. Yeah, it's incredible. I love that idea. I love the fact that that climbing wall hasn't got any plastic in it, and it's from things that would get thrown away. I think it's beautiful. And even just climbing the tactileness of actually feeling your way with something natural like that. You know, we used to climb trees as kids. You'd always grab hold of a burr or something like that, or a branch, and away you go. Yeah, that's a really innovative, nice thing. I just want to climb it now.
So I mentioned earlier kumiko lattice work with the, you know, the woven chidori goshi, the puzzle
Yeah.
that you guys were playing with.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is kumiko. It's used for screen doors or decorations around doors as well. It's really nice because when the light shines through, it makes these beautiful patterns and shadows in the house as well. It's really beautiful. But all of these are made with no glue, no nails. It's just pure tension. And generally a frame is made first, and then the decorations are slotted inside. But you can imagine it requires a sheer amount of precision to be able to do this as 0.01 millimeter if it's off.
Yeah.
then it can change the entire structure of.
Can you imagine if I said to you on Monday morning, right boys, you're going to make some screens today. What are they going to look like? Show you a picture and you've got to make that, for example. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of like, oh, it's unbelievable. Look at this one. Look at the amount of pieces.
Has it been cut? And
Oh,
then
that's amazing.
see all the tiny little indents.
That almost looks sort of like Art Deco.
Would this be like a, because in carpentry in England, it's getting separated into more and more specialist niches. Would this be just one carpenter's job and then maybe temple building something else, or did the guys take a broad role in carpentry back in the day, and they're just so good that they could do a bit of everything?
Yeah, I think there are, I think it depends on the carpenter, but there are a lot of kumiko artisans out there. I believe this was made by one of the furniture companies in Hida Takayama.
Missing furniture crafters.
Yeah.
So we had one of the guys who does this come visit Japan House for our opening, and he said it can be actually quite a competitive practice.
Really?
So basically, you can see that some of these are more complicated than others. So you have one guy he's working on his kumiko, and another guy looks over his shoulder and says, "No, I can do better." And that's how you end up like something like that one that's just become
he's
super
changed his mind.
complex.
He must have been sitting next to lots of people and changed his mind each time.
No,
and
it
tried
needs
to
to be
get better.
flashier.
I would like to, it's the sort of thing I'd like to go and sit with them, and I'd like to be taught by them what their techniques are, because it's all about techniques. Now, if you set yourself up right, because a lot of these components are exactly the same other than the length, okay? So the notches are in the same places, for example. So you could sister them all together and you could work all the way through them. Instead of fraying the edges, you could work all the way through them. So you could use, you know, set it all out together knowing that it's going to do that. But in the case of this, for example, that rule wouldn't apply. However, there's lots of similar pieces. You've just got to repeat the process, you know. So it's phenomenal. It really is. I like it.
There are about 5 different techniques, I think more than 5, for Hida Sangyo to bend wood. But this was bent using a hydraulic press.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like a mixture of, the wood is steamed, so heat and moisture is incorporated into the wood fibers and made more malleable. And it's bent in a frame and then dried in that frame, so it retains the shape. And then it is further shaped and then carved to be the backrest of a chair.
Ah.
And the same up
Is that
here
the
as well.
backrest as well?
Yeah, so this is the next stage.
2.
Oh, I see. It's finishes.
And the
That's
same up here
interesting.
as well with armrests.
Yeah.
So you can also do hand bending as well. The kind of benefits of hand bending is that you can bend it not only one way, but you can also bend it 3-dimensionally and
Right.
twist as well, depending on the size of the wood.
Wow.
You should be a carpenter because you know a lot now already. You know more than me about carpentry. So.
I think she's interested, you know.
I am interested. If you want an apprentice, I'm here.
I mean, Robin's the man. But
I think this is the place that one of the places we'd aim to visit, because it's somewhere like that where we could go and actually stand and observe and just stand at the end of a bench. And as long as we're not putting anyone off their work, wouldn't it be lovely just to see a lesson, or, you know, the equivalent of the guys at the bench in the Building Crafts College in London to the Hida Artisan School? Could you imagine that? It would be absolutely amazing, wouldn't
you
it?
would be there all day, and
I'd probably want to stay there. I wouldn't want to leave there. I think I'd say, can I have this end of the bench, please? Give me the tools. I'm away. It'd be amazing, wouldn't it? It'd be
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
It's quite an intense course. It's like a 2-year course.
Is it?
And you wake up at 5 a.m., go for a jog,
What?
and then work until 10 p.m.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like an apprenticeship, and you do this for 2 years, and then you can go into the furniture company to continue your work.
Wow.
Yeah, so these are this year's intake. I
Just
believe-
2 of them?
Just 2 of them, yeah. I believe they just graduated high school, and now they're going to embark on their woodworking journey.
And they're from Hida, or they could be graduates from anywhere in Japan, or?
I'm not sure about
Right.
them specifically, but yeah, they do take quite a few people. Yeah.
And they actually live there and look.
Yes, there's dormitories.
And do they get a day off?
don't think so.
I'm not going. I've got
Also,
to
you're not
have at
allowed
least one
phones
day off.
either,
No
so-
phones either.
Phones, yeah.
I don't think that's going to go down too well with our apprentices, is it? You know.
It's cool that women as well. Like we need more women in the trades
Yeah,
here,
absolutely.
so it's cool that both of them are.
Well, this year, the third year carpentry student was a lady, Tabitha, and she works for a famous furniture maker in London. And yeah, she won the award for the third year carpentry and joinery apprentice of the year.
Cool.
So even though these poor young ladies can't have a mobile phone to take a picture of what they might be doing or whatever, I bet it's probably trade secrets there, isn't it?
Yeah, probably, yeah. And I feel like this course is so intense, it's really, it shows a testament to the intricacy of
Yeah.
the Cedar carpenters' work and their dedication to the craft, and you can see it in all of their joinery and all of the kumiko as well.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of dedication to pass these skills on, I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We
Yeah.
could learn so much, but I'm hoping Robin doesn't make us jog every morning now when we start work. So
Well, you know, next year, why don't you boys go up to the Hida Artisans?
that's the dream, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to put this trip together. We need to know exactly when we need to go, and we need to know who, where, why, what, and how. What we need to see,
Yeah.
and yeah, we should do a. And what would be lovely is there's some sort of exchange, you know, where we could go, and then we could sort of take some out on site here and say
No,
this
that's
is.
such a good idea. Yeah.
Thank you very much, lads, coming to Japan House London today.
Oh, thanks for having us.
I
It's
have a gift, a few gifts for you in this goodie bag here. First here, do you guys know what this is?
It's a box.
It could be a box. This is a masu. This was originally used to measure rice, and now it is used to serve sake.
Oh, right.
If you guys want to have your sake, you can drink it in here, and this is very relevant to the exhibition because it is made in Gifu Prefecture. So the wood is kind of similar to some of the wood you're seeing today.
Well, I think I know who'd have his eyes on that one. It's the chef over there.
You're a sake fan. If you go upstairs to Akira, you can also get your sake served in a masu like this
Oh
one.
wow.
And if you boys want a rematch with the Chidori Goshi,
Game on.
we've got one to take home.
Oh,
as
thank
well.
you so much. That is
So,
absolutely.
yeah, one for each of you and
Oh, thank you so
very
much. That is
much.
absolutely, and thanks so much for, you know, this is a real honour for us to be able to come and have a look at your exhibition with no one else here. It's a real nice thing of you. So thanks, Lloyd, for sorting it out.
Worries, no, and yeah, in fact, your knowledge was so broad. Like you held it with some carpenters, and you should take up carpentry.
And I think anyone who is interested in coming to see the Carpenters Line at the Japan House in London, now in Kensington. So is there an entrance fee?
No. At Japan House London, all of our exhibitions are completely free. So the Carpenters Line is open until the 29th of January, so you've just got a little more time to catch it. And then the exhibition after this one is called Kumihimo, and it will also be a craft exhibition, and it will focus on braiding. So yeah, Japan House exhibition is completely free.
And do we need to book online or
You
just?
don't need to book, you can just come, but there is the option to book online, which is a good idea if you want to guarantee entry at your preferred time.
Brilliant.